So how the movie opens
right.
with J-Lo bringing out the feast.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 massive pancakes, 6 massive eggs,
yeah.
and the really, really long sausage.
I forgot about
you forgot about the sausage. Is this an introduction?
All right, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome to Logline, the podcast by two people who've never done a podcast before.
My name is Julian. This is this guy next to me. That's Nick right there.
I was wondering whether or not you wanted me to introduce myself or you were gonna throw it over to me.
I didn't know either. That's why I paused.
Right. Okay.
So,
well, that's good.
We're off to a great start.
A really great start.
So we're gonna look at some log lines, and
these are randomly generated.
Yes. For those of you out there who don't know what a log line is,
you don't need to.
In movies, I'm not gonna.
You don't need to know.
All right. Yeah, we won't tell you. Look it up on Google if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a phone these days, right? Kids these days, am I right?
No, they stand kids.
Am I right? Okay. Great. Fantastic.
Do we have to do this podcast?
What do you mean?
No, I'm just making a joke.
Do we have to?
I know, it wasn't very funny.
We don't have to.
Okay.
Do you want to stop? We've only been recording for 2 minutes.
Don't talk to me like that. All right.
Are you okay?
So we're gonna generate random log lines. There's this great website, lifeformswithaz.com.
Don't give them free clout.
What
if it's shit?
I'm going
What
to.
if they're bad?
It's pretty good. We've looked at this for like a while.
5
They're pretty
minutes?
good. Well, like last week we looked at it.
Last week?
Or earlier this week. Earlier this week we looked at this website and we thought, this is funny.
This is funny.
We could do a podcast about this. So these are one sentence things.
Right.
And we're going to try to make a movie out of these one sentence things.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, an actress makes breakfast for the philanthropic neighbor of a physicist mercenary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot of big words.
Mm-hmm. We got to break this one down. So we have an actress played by, who is the lady that Kanye is dating now?
Oh, God, I don't know. I think her name starts with J.
J-Lo.
So, all right, she makes breakfast.
J-Lo makes breakfast for a philanthropic neighbor. Now, I don't know how many philanthropic people you know.
I know none.
Well, I know one. He's pretty popular. And his name rhymes with Mr. Feast.
Oh, right when you said that, I knew what the fuck you were going to say.
His name rhymes with Mr. Feast. And he's the neighbor of a physicist mercenary. Now, what mercenaries do you know?
Physicist none. I can't say I've ever come across a mercenary.
You've never come across a mercenary.
Life.
Okay.
No. We could make one up.
Now, they had to be a physicist, though. So think Stephen Hawking.
But he kills people.
Conquistador. Okay?
So, Stephen, hello.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. I will kill you.
Yeah, but can you spin that into a Spanish accent?
No.
Okay. Well, it doesn't have to be a conquistador, but we could also do Albert Einstein.
Right.
Hitman from the hit game Hitman.
Oh, so we combine those two.
Yeah, so bald Albert Einstein, who's a robot that doesn't talk.
Wait, is the guy from Hitman a robot? I never played Hitman. He's a robot?
I think so.
Oh. Well, it's better if he's a robot.
Because then he's better at physics.
And it's funny.
Yeah. Okay, so we have J-Lo. She makes breakfast for the... Okay, hold on.
Yeah. What?
So it's J-Lo makes breakfast for Mr. Beast. And Mr.
Who is
Beast,
neighbors
with bald Einstein.
Yes.
Okay. What this doesn't clear up for me though, is does J-Lo live with either of these people, or are they all neighbors?
Ooh, that's good. She could be like, Maybe the philanthropic neighbor, Mr. Beast, he's very rich, as we all know. Maybe he has a person come over, Mr. Feast, sorry. We'll have to bleep that out. So maybe he's so rich, Mr. Feast is so rich that he has a woman to come over and make him a feast.
Right, okay.
He has J-Lo.
That's why they call him that.
Yeah, Mr. Feast, because he always he hires J-Lo.
But we won't reveal that till like halfway through.
That he hired her?
No, that's why he's called Mr. Feast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like Colonel Mustard.
You don't know he's
mustard.
He's mustard until the middle of the movie. Colonel Mustard.
Yep.
The American classic. So this happens like halfway through the movie. Mm-hmm. This like sentence we got here.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Well, this can be like the open frame that the movie like starts with, right? It's not.
We just don't know his name.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I was thinking about it the other way.
And it makes sense though because she's making breakfast, but it's not just like, oh, bacon, egg, and cheese McGriddle. Okay.
Does he live at McDonald's?
We're talking like 6 eggs.
That's a lot of eggs.
And like
it's a feast.
Exactly.
It has to be a lot of food.
4 giant pancakes. And 1 really long sausage, right?
A sausage that cannot feasibly exist.
Yes, yeah.
Like, you could not find that long of a meat in an actual person. Mm-hmm. And that's where the physicist comes in. He engineered using his science skills. I don't actually know what a physicist does, but he uses his science skills.
What do you think a physicist does?
I actually don't know. Does he work in a lab?
He can.
Like modern day physicists. You know, like Albert Einstein, he was like doing equations and shit. But how many equations are really left?
Yeah, but hold on.
How many, are there people right now discovering equations?
Well, they discovered those a long time ago.
A 19th century thing.
But let's take a step back here. Okay. What do you think a physicist does?
They do physics equations. They study the physical universe.
Okay.
In order to understand it better.
Right.
And do calculations to aid in.
Okay. Now hold on before you continue.
Okay.
How can that be related to gun for hire killing? Now I've got a few postulates for you.
Okay. Postulate, please.
Postulate number 1. Bald Albert Einstein has developed warp speed travel, okay?
Okay.
However, if he unplugs the machine midway through
the machine, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, how else would you warp? With a book? How else would you warp?
How else would you warp if not for a machine? Okay, so he designs light speed travel.
Yes.
In essence.
But the key here is that it's not just like light speed travel in like a line, right?
Yeah.
It's warp travel, as in it's bending space-time.
So you kill people by bending space-time?
You, in theory, travel faster than light in the observable universe because you bend space-time, and then you're basically, it's like a cheat code. You're like skipping.
Right.
You're like teleporting almost, okay? So he has this machine that does this. He's been developing it since he had hair. And
it's very important.
It is very important. And so he has this machine, and he takes his do we want to call them victims? Targets, maybe?
Targets, yeah.
Because he's not like just killing them just to kill them, you know. There's something behind it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So his targets, and he puts it in the machine, he's like, you're going to make history. You're going to be the next Neil Armstrong. Man on the moon.
I was just going to say spaceman.
Spaceman, yeah. We were on the same track. You're going to be the next Neil Armstrong. You're going to experience faster than light travel. Okay?
And this kills him somehow. You know, when you said postulate 1, I was expecting this to be like a 10-second.
I have another postulate after this
know,
one.
that's what worries me.
And then he gets to the machine, and he's like, you're going to make history. Turns on the machine. It starts going. The room's getting all wavy. The camera's like shaking. But then, halfway through, he takes the comically large lever. And the victim just evaporates.
Oh, wow.
Is torn apart molecule by molecule.
Okay. So he's like seducing them he's like seducing them with the idea of fame and space travel.
Yeah, and he could be a little sexy.
Yeah. Sexy, bald Albert Einstein is the neighbor of the philanthropist, Mr. Feast.
Yeah.
Whose feasts are made daily by a character played by J-Lo.
That's correct.
Okay.
Postulate number 2.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. Albert Einstein, who is a physicist, and also a mercenary in this context,
yes.
Will develop, is another develop thing, because that's what physicists do, a neurotoxin that can, it being like this tiny little vial, okay? And it with some like real spy shit, anytime he has a target, he just like
he takes the neurotoxin and flicks it at him.
Flicks it at him, yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't activate for like a little bit, and then once it does, it never comes off of the thing that it touched ever. Okay?
So it's sticky neurotoxin.
Not sticky, but in the same way that like a coffee stain would be in like a book.
Right.
Just like forever.
It's just there, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not getting it out.
And if someone touched it and then touched their T-zone or anyone else on
I've never heard that term before.
You've never heard it called the T-zone?
No, T-zone, like...
Well, it's because it's a T with your eyes in your mouth.
I get it, but like...
It's to get little kids to not pick their butt and then like touch it.
Pick your butt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then to touch their face. So it's just...
Don't touch your T-zone after picking your butt.
It's an important thing to...
Don't pick your butt.
It's an important thing to teach young kids.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay, so which one are you leaning towards? The neurotoxin or the light speed travel? Is there one that you like more?
Well, that's why I postulated them to you.
Oh, okay.
So you have to... So now, J-Lo hasn't been in the story at all yet.
Yeah.
So how does J-Lo play into making breakfast for Mr. Feast, who has a neighbor? Because here's the thing. If we're actually looking at what this logline tells me, is the philanthropic neighbor of the physicist mercenary, it sounds like J-Lo's the main character.
It does, yeah.
This physicist mercenary is like the main, maybe antagonist. Not in a direct way, but, drives the story.
Yeah.
And then the neighbor is kind of just like watching or like commentating on what this physicist mercenary is doing. Now, does the neighbor know that the physicist is a mercenary?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think J-Lo is often at her neighbor, at the philanthropic neighbor's house.
Mm-hmm.
And she slowly kind of gets adrift, figures out what's happening throughout the whole movie. And then, like, the final act is, like, her realizing this guy kills people by either flinging neurotoxin at them or putting them in space in very fast things, and then turning off the machine. Right.
Do you think that our hero, J-Lo, would there be some type of discovery where she, like, figures out that this is what's happening? Or is this like, oh, mad scientist does weird shit in his basement, and, like, now we're seeing it for the first time? Or is it more like, oh, this scientist, like, he's just always doing experiments, but then he has this one, like, secret one that he never tells anybody about.
Yeah.
But everyone who goes in that room, no one has ever come out.
And that's the mercenary related room. Yeah. No. Wait, I see it. We could take it two routes.
Yeah.
The genre could be like murder mystery, where J-Lo's trying to figure out fucking bald Einstein.
Have you seen Knives Out?
Yeah.
It kind of like that, where the main character, she's not necessarily trying to figure it out, but she's like a part of the narrative and of the story.
Yeah.
It's told from, I forget what her name is. She's like the personal assistant, like in Knives Out.
Yeah.
She's like the personal assistant or whatever. It's like we follow her through the whole time, even though in theory she's not really doing a whole lot in the story until the third act.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think that's the route that I would initially go for. Like that's what strikes me as most interesting. 'Cause I like the trope of like the unassuming character who like witnesses things and then they get launched into something like towards the end. Once they like know more than other characters do. So that would be cool, I think. So who's the physicist played by?
Well, I think it's a pretty well-known fact at this point that Albert Einstein has sadly left us.
He's gone.
Yeah. So, well, he's bald and also a little bit sexy.
We need a baldy.
Does he have to be classic Albert Einstein old?
What do you mean?
Well, because every time you see a picture of Albert Einstein, he's old. But, he wasn't old all the time.
Yeah. Well,
he was,
Maybe he's really young.
Yeah.
Maybe his experiments went wrong. Maybe he looks like a teenager, and his experiments went wrong, and that's why he's bald.
Right.
Because
his experiments went wrong.
Yeah, because he did an experiment that ended up in all of his hair being blasted off. Maybe the neurotoxin got in his hair.
Yeah.
While he was experimenting with the neurotoxin, his hair all went...
The way that he figured out that it was a neurotoxin is because it was actually in a 12-in-1 soap product. A classic, men's 12-in-1 soap that he used on his hair.
And his teeth. His toothpaste.
Yeah. And he's not just bald, he's completely hairless. Because he used it all over his body, all over his head, everything.
No eyebrows.
And then all of his hair just disintegrated off his body. Yeah. And then he's like, I could use this.
So that's inherently funny.
Yeah.
Is this going to be partially then a comedy?
Well, anytime you have a comedy, you have to have a rom-com. That's just a rule.
So are Mr. Feast and J-Lo
Think about any comedy movie that you've seen. Even if it is god-awful, there's always a love interest.
There's always a subplot. Yes. Love subplot, yeah.
There's always some love interest, which makes them check the box of this is a rom-com.
So they're pitching to multiple audiences.
Yes.
You got the murder mystery, you got the rom-com.
Right. And
everybody wins.
If you think about it, J-Lo and Mr. Feast, who will be played by Mr. Beast.
Greased.
Mr. Greased. Okay, so we know J-Lo's in this. We know Mr. Beast is in this.
Yeah.
And we know that we need to have a completely hairless actor.
Yeah. Who's hot right now? Tom Holland is very hot.
I was going to say Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, yeah. He's very sickly. Which would match the scientist whose experiments have gone wrong.
That's right. You know what? That could work. Although, I'm going to be honest with you, he's been in a few too many movies recently. You know what I'm saying? Same
thing with Tom Holland. Saying that, I was like, I don't want to.
But that's okay, because you're right. I think he is a little sickly. A little.
Sorry, Timothy.
Sorry, Tim. Can I call you Tim? And
Mr. Shall.
Mr. Shall. Yeah, so Timothée Chalamet, but completely hairless, including eyebrows.
To the point where you can't even recognize him.
Would you be able to recognize him if he was completely hairless?
I feel like his hair is pretty
His curly hair on his head is like pretty iconic.
It is. But his jaw structure is also a dead giveaway. Yeah. Like, if that's still there, you're gonna recognize him. Mm-hmm. So maybe we have to make him like suck in the cheeks even more. Like give him a really weak chin.
What's I'm drawing a blank. What's the actor Dark Knight played Batman?
Oh,
Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Like Christian Bale in the movie where he had to get down to like 110 pounds or whatever. Yeah. And had to look like really, really, really sick.
We make Timothée Chalamet get even thinner. Yeah. We tell him, hey man, I know you're already like 100 pounds. I'm sure
he's already like 140 or something. He's got 130.
Yeah, how tall is he? Let's look up how tall he is. You think his weight is online? I think we can look up.
Actors keep stats like that, right? Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, you're probably going to try to spell his last name. 5'10".
5'10", okay.
Weight.
Or 1.76.
We got to calculate how much more sickly we have to make Timothy.
Weight.
150, it says.
150 pounds? Oh. I mean, this is one of those, like, weird, like, they just guess.
Yeah.
Like, these are never right.
Yeah, this is just for people
I think it's an okay base. So, I'm thinking... Well, here's the thing. He has to be functioning, though.
Like, he can't be, like, fucking broken.
Right. He can't just be bones. Well, unless we have a skeleton protagonist. This is set in a skeleton world.
Albert Einstein.
Well, think about it. Think about it. If you're a skeleton, that solves the hair problem.
So this has to be animated now, I think. I don't think we're going to have the budget. Well, if we're hiring Timothée Chalamet and J-Lo, we probably do have the budget to do CGI for
Budget's not a concern. I can come up with some money.
What were we talking about? where are we at?
Making Timothée Chalamet look more sickly.
Oh, yeah.
And whether or not we think that's a good idea.
I think it's a very good idea.
Uh-huh. Again, I think he has to be functioning.
He's 150 pounds. He can become worth it.
120 is the lowest we can go.
So what is that? Just 20% decrease?
I mean...
I don't know. I think that could be enough.
But is it believable? Well, I guess it is believable because... Honestly, the mad scientist trope is kind of like the drug addict trope.
Like they're addicted to doing these wild things that fuck them up.
Exactly. So they're fucked up mentally instead of physically, but he can also be fucked up physically.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we don't have to be set on Timothy either.
Did you have another suggestion?
No. I'm just putting that out there to see if, you know.
Who are you putting that out? To me?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, to the fucking elf in the corner.
I suggested Timothée Chalamet, so...
You did?
Yeah, I did.
I don't remember. I got bad memory.
Right, okay.
Where are we? No, yeah. No, I like the Timothy, that casting.
Well, I mean, you don't like it that much.
I'll only like it if we can get him down to 90 pounds and make him shrink 4 inches.
I said 120! 90 pounds?
I want to get him down 40%.
Oh my god. I told you, he has to be able to act.
Well, I don't think he has to have any dialogue. Because if the physicist mercenary's point is to be really sickly and like kind of fucked up by his experiments, maybe he really is just not able to do anything. So it's fine if Timothy can't do anything, if he's about to die, because so is the physicist mercenary.
Riddle me this, Batman. How is he supposed to be a mercenary if he can't function?
Well, he has these machines, as you call them, that do all the work for him.
Right, okay.
So he's like Stephen Hawking. He's got the wheelchair.
Stephen Hawking had machines that did work for him?
Well, he had the thing that let him talk. I don't know the specifics. Right. I'm very ignorant on the subject of Stephen Hawking, but he had the thing, you know, that he could like
but
you would make him talk. He had the robot voice.
But talking and like murdering are really different.
Well, I can imagine. What time period do you imagine this is set in?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, it's got to be 1950s plus, I think.
Yeah.
To have a physicist and anyone who would be willing to pursue philanthropy.
Yeah. I'm picturing current day or like a couple centuries in the future.
A couple centuries?
Yeah.
That's a big time
because
jump from current day.
Well, I think what made me think that was the talk of the light speed travel.
Okay.
That made me think, oh, this is like futuristic. And
but futuristic doesn't have to be centuries. It could be like
that's true.
Decades.
It could be.
I mean, think about it. Back to the Future, made in the 80s, right? In the 80s? Came out in the 80s. Was it made in the 80s? I don't know. An 80s movie.
Yeah.
That was set in 2012. I think. Or was it 2018? It was one of those years.
One of them. Somewhere in there.
But it was set in the 2000 teens. And that was futuristic for them.
Yeah.
Right? And we do have cars that can go 88 miles an hour in modern day.
We do. Back to the Future was right.
I know.
How do they do it?
But they don't disappear once they hit 88 miles an hour.
Right, yeah, that's true.
It's because actually there's this like setting in cars. So you know
it's a little switch. Yeah. You got to turn the machine off, otherwise you fucking disappear.
You know how there's governors in like vehicles to make them not go like up a certain speed. So like school buses have governors that make them not go over 65.
Right, yeah.
Or like sometimes
semi-trucks
or ATVs will have them that you can't go above 40 or whatever, right? There's a governor, except it's only for 88 miles an hour. So you can never hit 88, right? You're either 87 or 89.
So there's some sort of break in the concept of linear progression.
Correct.
Of speed.
Mm-hmm. And you can't go 88. So they were right.
It's like there's in math, how they have like the graphs where there's like, they go upwards.
To infinity?
To
beyond?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You get like progressively closer and closer to 88.
Yeah.
But then there's like a hole in the middle.
Oh, you're bringing in
some calculus shit, yeah.
Oh.
Let's not talk about calculus, though.
That's okay.
I don't think we should talk about calculus.
No? You don't know enough about it?
No, I really don't.
I don't either.
That's why we shouldn't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I thought this was a math podcast.
So the movie opens with J-Lo bringing out the feast.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 massive pancakes, 6 massive eggs, and the really, really long sausage.
I forgot about
You forgot about the sausage.
I did forget about it.
I was thinking about it the whole time. So she brings out the fucking feast.
Is it one long sausage and it's like tied at the...
It's like a hoop. It's like a wreath. You could hang it on your door.
Yeah. Or is it like the individual links? Like cartoon style?
Like cartoon, yeah. I imagined it as one continuous sausage.
Okay. All right, it's in one big wrapping.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And make some breakfast. That's how it opens, right?
That's how it opens.
So it opens with the breakfast making process.
Yeah.
For Mr. Feast, who is not named at the time.
Yes.
Now, how does the neighbor relate to the physicist?
I feel like they don't talk much.
Right.
It could be that they actually do talk.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe he's in on it.
Oh.
Or he's not.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the idea bell.
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is again.
Wow. He's a philanthropist. He's funding.
Oh, shit.
The projects.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding is right.
But hold on. Now, do we want Mr. Feast to know that the physicist is also a mercenary, or is the physicist just like, I'm doing this for science, and the philanthropist is like, I got money.
Oh, wow. Maybe I think he knows. I think the agreement is that the neighbor, the philanthropic neighbor, Mr. Beast, can he knows, and he's
Mr. Feast.
This is so fucking hard to talk about. All right, so Mr. Feast, he knows. Mm-hmm. And he's got a lot of enemies. Mm-hmm. He's in business. He's kind of an asshole. So he kills a lot of people using this technology. We still haven't decided if it's the light speed shit or the neurotoxin that he flicks and it sticks in some way.
The flicky sticky.
The flicky sticky neurotoxin.
Yeah. This is really dumb. Man, okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if you... See, the neurotoxin thing works better with the, like, hairless thing, right?
Yeah.
But would you need a philanthropist to do that?
To do what?
To fund it, to make it.
Oh.
I feel like that's like a basement science experiment.
Well, that's good.
That's like Breaking Bad style.
Maybe it takes a lot of money to make the equipment required to make said neurotoxin. It's very energy inefficient. He needs a lot of money
to pay his power bill.
Sickly Timothy Chalamet cannot pay his power bill without the help of his philanthropic neighbor, Mr. Feast.
That's what this logline should be.
A physicist mercenary cannot pay his power bills
without the help of a philanthropic neighbor,
Mr. Feast.
Mr. Feast. That's right. That's good. No, that's a good one.
Pretty good.
Okay. So he can't pay his power bill.
The electric companies was sending him all these notices. Final warning. Like, shit, I gotta get money.
That's right. Just spam. Anyways, okay. So we're settled on neurotoxin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
So he makes the neurotoxin because of the freak accent that he had with the 12-in-1.
The 12-in-1 men's liquid.
Men's soap. And okay, so he has the accent. He's like, I can use this for his mercenary work. So he develops the neurotoxin that is funded by the philanthropic neighbor.
Yes.
Now, we talked about Knives Out earlier. Yeah. Are we telling this from the perspective of of J-Lo making breakfast? So maybe, hold on, ding ding ding, idea bell.
Okay.
We hear this story. So maybe sickly Timothy Chalamet doesn't need to talk because we're hearing the philanthropic neighbor tell this story through little bits to J-Lo every morning when she makes him breakfast. Well, no, maybe it is currently happening, but like he'll take a phone call and we'll hear a little bit of it, or she'll be like snooping around and discover stuff.
Okay, yeah, I like that. But think about this: you had my idea bell go off, ding ding ding, and what if
I heard it? The idea bell.
There it is.
Yeah.
So this takes place about 20 years after it happened. After after the actual story happened.
After it was the neurotoxin was developed.
The whole movie's a flashback.
Okay, gotcha.
And so the philanthropic neighbor is like sick. He's like gonna die soon.
Yeah.
And J-Lo is like his caretaker.
Okay.
And he has nothing to lose, because he's gonna die. Mm-hmm. So he's telling her all this stuff. He's like narrating the story. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Beast
like
narrates.
Storybook style. Or is it is it little bits, or is it one like continuous telling of the story?
I think it could be in bits.
Because is it we open with the actress making him breakfast, 10 minutes, and then we're into flashback, and it's flashback for the rest of the movie till the end? Or is it flashback for 20 minutes, then we're back into modern day for another set amount of time till the next act, and then we go back into flashback?
I'm not certain. I'm liking this idea less because I want J-Lo to be a part of the movie.
Right.
And if either of those routes, I feel like she's just going to be kind of background. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like, what's his fuck, Nick and Greg Gatsby. He's just going to kind of like be there.
So that's why I thought her discovering it as it's happening, or overhearing, or whatever,
Yeah.
So we have what is it? The audience has limited information.
Yeah.
So it's revealed to us, because I guess that's a big part of this, right? Is that there'll be a reveal at some point.
Right.
So it's revealed to us, and we have limited information. So we're almost like looking through the eyes of J-Lo's character through the whole story.
Yeah, I like that.
So then is it... But at that point, are we only seeing J-Lo every morning when she comes to make him breakfast?
She could be like a caretaker or like a maid of some sort.
Right. I think caretaker works, but does that mean we're making the philanthropic neighbor old?
He's equally as sick as Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah. Sick of the head.
Yeah, I think this story will be a lot about rich old white men being assholes.
Well, I don't know if the physicist is rich, but he might be old and white.
He does have a really, really big power bill.
Yeah.
Spent all his money on electricity.
Yeah. So J-Lo finds out over time that that Mr. Feast has been funding these projects, but she doesn't quite know what the projects are yet.
Yeah.
And then, do you think it's worth having some type of subplot where she is somehow involved with an outside character that becomes a victim of one of these? Or maybe she sees it on the news or hears about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thematically, this movie, what would it be about? Because I think that would determine the subplot. The other character. Why? I guess a good question would be, why is the philanthropic neighbor killing people?
Well, the philanthropic neighbor is not killing people. The physicist is killing people.
Oh, okay.
The physicist is the mercenary.
Yeah.
Who has been hired by...
Oh, fuck, wow. I forgot all about the mercenary part. I was too focused on sickly Timothée Chalamet not being able to do anything.
It's because it's on the second line.
Oh, yeah.
Don't read that far.
I can only read first lines.
That's all right. Yeah. So, the philanthropic neighbor is paying the physicist for mercenary work. Yeah. Now, I guess we can kind of take the creative liberty of technically a mercenary is it's gun for hire, but in a war context. We're kind of spinning it into a hitman context.
Yeah.
Which I think is okay.
What is the definition of mercenary?
I think it is literally soldiers that take payment and aren't loyal to any one group.
Yeah, a professional soldier hired to serve in a foreign army.
Yeah, it's generally foreign because think about in the World Wars, maybe not in the World Wars because that was most nations. In the Civil War, the South had French mercenaries helping them. So French soldiers would come and fight on their side.
I did not know that. It's now a history podcast.
This is now a history podcast.
What were we talking about?
So the reason is we were defining mercenary, but I think it's okay that we morph this into more of a hitman thing. Because otherwise, this is a war movie. If this physicist is a mercenary.
Yeah.
And war movies have a lot more than 3 characters, generally.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so he's killing people. Why does the neighbor want people dead? Why has he hired the scientist?
Well, philanthropic implies that you have a lot of money, but it does not say anything about, the type of person you are. I guess it implies that you're generous in a way, but just because you give money to things doesn't mean you're a generous person. There could be some other motive for giving money. So, 2 postulates. 1, he's giving money to the physicist because the physicist can either kill him or someone he cares about.
He's been blackmailed.
So he's been blackmailed.
Wow.
Or, second option, the philanthropic neighbor, Mr. Feast, got
That will not stop being funny.
Got his money from, like, some really, like, fucked up thing. And now he's sending this physicist mercenary out to, like, get rid of people that either
tie up loose ends.
Tie up loose ends.
I like
kind of
that.
like a mob sort of mafia thing.
So I guess that's a good next question. How did he make his money? So I like that idea of like it being some shady shit that he now has to cover up.
Interesting. So that could be a subplot.
And J-Lo could find parts of this shady business around the house.
Yeah.
While she's giving him feasts.
So I think it's important. I think it's important that we set a time period then.
Yeah.
Because if this is...
What kind of crime is it?
300 years in the future, it might be like, you know, you wouldn't steal a car.
You wouldn't steal a movie.
NFT. Yeah, it wouldn't steal an NFT.
It's an NFT crime.
But if this is modern day, then maybe it's like... I mean, oil's a classic one.
Yeah.
Or real estate or land development. I don't know how shady that is, I guess. You could... I mean, every movie does drugs. Because that's like the shady thing.
Yeah.
But there's other shady ways. I mean, we could do blood diamonds. We could do any type of exploitation of something.
Yeah.
Fur trade.
Ivory.
Poaching. Yeah.
What makes the most sense? Like, thematically, what are we going for?
Well...
Going back to that.
Is the neighbor old? Is Mr. Feast old? If Mr. Feast is old...
I think he's like 50. That's kind of what I'm picturing.
Then I could see something like ivory trade. Or you know, illegal animal trade.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Here's a potential, like, theme kind of tying things together.
Yeah.
It's, like, against using nature for bad purposes. Because the dude found the neurotoxin.
Right.
He's, like, developed this thing that was in nature. But it's now bad.
The 12-in-1 was
the 12-in-1, the natural 12-in-1.
He picked it off the
males.
12-in-1 tree?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't know that.
Oh, gotcha.
And then this guy's, he's stealing ivory from the animals.
Wait, so the scientist is like pro-animal and pro-nature? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think so. Because he's killing things.
The scientist is killing things. Who's pro-nature?
J-Lo.
J-Lo's pro-nature.
Yeah.
Okay. Does she, like, make that known? Or is that just assuming that most people are pro-nature?
When she's giving him the feast,
right,
he asks her for meat, and it's clear that she does not want to.
She's a vegan. Okay.
J-Lo the vegan makes breakfast for Mr. Feast.
So maybe that's like a little bit of tension, because maybe they've had a history where she used to make him eggs and meat every morning, and then she's been trying to slowly transition him to a vegan diet.
How long has she known him?
I mean, it's got to be at least like a bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like exact amount of time, but I'd say over a year maybe.
Yeah. I
or
was
something
thinking
like
2.
that. 2 years, yeah.
Approximately.
So they have an established history of some kind, and she's been trying to work him up to like this vegan diet. But he's always like resistant to it because he was a steak and eggs guy, growing up or whatever.
I have an idea for a subplot.
Yeah.
She has a friend whom she tells things about Mr. Feast.
Okay.
And she gets brought into the conflict somehow.
Right.
Like 3/4 of the way into the movie, gets killed. That's the subplot, and that's what gives J-Lo the motivation to fuck up Mr. Feast.
Now, is J-Lo... So she's like vengeful?
Yeah.
Will she already have the information she needs to like expose him, or is this like a violent thing?
Maybe it happens at the same time.
Okay.
Like she is with her friend, or she finds her friend killed in a place that is very very incriminating for both Timothy and Mr. Feast. But what that is exactly, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, we don't have to come up with all the details.
Yeah.
It is just a log line. Okay, so let's recap where we're at.
Yeah.
So an actress played by J-Lo,
Yes.
who is an actress.
Undoubtedly.
Which I guess we didn't even cover the fact that the logline says it is an actress who makes breakfast.
Yeah.
But anyways, an actress, played by J-Lo, a vegan actress.
Vegan actress, J-Lo.
Played by J-Lo, makes vegan breakfast for a philanthropic neighbor.
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast.
Who's actually Mr. Feast.
Who's actually Mr. Feast. Of a physicist mercenary who we have equated to being Hitman Einstein, who is completely hairless, played by sickly Timothée Chalamet. Now, the philanthropic neighbor funds the physicist mercenaries projects, of which he has made a neurotoxin.
Very, very power consuming.
Very
power consuming machine.
Which uses a lot of power to make tiny little vials of it.
Which you then flicks.
Which you then flick, and it sticks to them and then poisons them and they die. And the reason that Mr. Feast, is doing it is because...
I tuned out for like 2 seconds. I don't know where you're at.
Well, the philanthropic neighbor, is he animal trade? Is that what you agreed on?
Yeah.
Okay. Ivory, like illegal animal trade.
Yeah.
Which creates well, it doesn't. I don't know if it creates tension necessarily with the actress, at least directly. But I think there is tension implied by the fact that the actress is vegan and like very pro-animal.
Yeah. And that, I feel like that would reach a climax. That tension would reach a climax when she like discovers her friend is dead and also discovers like, oh shit, this guy's like into animal trading. Like there's stuff leading up to that moment where she's like suspicious, like this guy's doing some shady stuff. And what exactly those moments are, I think we need to figure out.
Right.
Like what leads to the final act.
I think it's got to be... Well, you said the murder already. And I think that's... I mean, in every film, that's like the big thing, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's Deadpool. Or like John Wick.
Yeah.
But the murder's usually the big thing. Maybe her friend was someone who could have figured it out. So maybe her friend...
She's some sort of like a PI, maybe?
What is that?
Private investigator.
Private investigator. You could go private investigator route, or you could go like her friend is visiting from Africa, and her friend
doing the ivory.
Exactly. Her friend is like is one of those park rangers or the people who like protect the reservations.
Yeah.
And she's like telling her about there's been like a huge like uptick recently.
Yeah.
But it's around the neighbor. It's around Mr. Beast.
She finds plane tickets to Africa. Mr. Feast frequently leaves on these mysterious trips.
Yeah.
And she finds plane tickets to Africa.
Okay.
Whatever part of Africa they're doing the ivory.
Yeah.
I don't know in which parts of Africa there's elephants.
Yeah.
But she finds the plane ticket, and then does she follow him there? I think that would be cool if she and her friend
go to Africa.
Followed him to Africa.
Interesting. Is this a stowaway movie now?
Well, they don't necessarily have to stow away.
Right, but are they going to be on the same plane?
Probably a different plane.
Okay. So they follow him, they find him, like, doing it? I mean, I don't know if they're just going to, like, come across him. I think it's enough motivation that, like, she is one of the park ranger people, the friend.
Yeah. And
Mr. Beast hears about it and is like, oh shit, this is one of the people who could, like, rat me out. Or maybe he's called Mr. Feast, but no one knows his real name. But she does because he's wanted. So
but if he's wanted, wouldn't other people know his name too?
Well, people in Africa.
Yeah.
But maybe in the U.S., people don't know his name.
Yeah. Because it's not.
Because it's a far distance. Yeah, exactly. So it could be like we're looking for the crime lord named Mr. Grease.
Mr. Grease.
and he overhears that and he's like, oh shit, they're on to me. Or maybe they have some type of physical description.
Yeah.
And she would have that information. She would know it. So he's like, I have to kill her.
So they flick the sticky, flicky sticky neurotoxin.
So maybe the neurotoxin isn't like fully developed yet, so they test it on her.
Oh, and that would eliminate the funny part of the power bill, because that means the money would actually be going towards the discovery and like research of the neurotoxin. Not that that's a big deal, but
what was it going toward before? Keeping the air on? Like
yeah, big power bill. He's got
to keep it cold.
But yeah, the machines.
Right.
I know you like machines.
But the machines,
I like machines too.
But what I'm saying is, even when you're developing it, you still have to use the machines to make it.
Yeah. That's true.
So he's still using a lot of power.
Yeah, he is. He's still using a lot of power. But my thing is that the focus is drawn away from the immensely large power bill and put more.
So
it's less focus on the.
We talked about that you want this to be a rom-com.
Oh my god, I fucking forgot about that.
So maybe that's the com part of rom-com.
The absurdly large power bill.
The absurdly large.
Can we make enough jokes about a very large power bill?
I think we could write some jokes. Yeah, some Adam Sandler level jokes about power bills. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You know what? I think I would make this movie.
I like it. It's a good movie. Are we done? Do we come up with the title now?
Yeah, we can come up with a title.
Well, how does it end? I think we should figure out how it ends first.
The film?
I think that would be very unsatisfying if we discuss this for like
fair enough. Okay.
Hour and a half and still don't know.
So, well, I mean, it's got to end with the reveal, right? And then J-Lo, what, does she kill them?
I think there's a scene where she is aware of what they're doing, but they're not aware that she knows.
Okay.
So she's kind of like doing this like sly, like dancing around the subject, like acting all cool while she's talking to the philanthropist.
Yeah.
Mr. Feast. And
Mr. Feast. Does she... So she knows that it's happening.
Yeah.
Does she procure some neurotoxin?
Fighting fire with fire.
And use it on them.
She flicks it.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. And it would kind of symbolize her descent from being like this good worldly nature person to stooping to their level of using neurotoxin.
Because we all know 12-in-1 soap is anti-nature.
Yeah. It's the epitome of anti-nature.
It's just raw chemicals just singeing all of the bacteria and hair off of your body.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, she uses it.
She uses the neurotoxin.
I think that's good.
She knows that it's happening, and either there's a scene where she's like sneaking in, or like they leave at some point, and she goes to get some from the physicist mercenary's house, and she gets it, and I'm guessing you could build the tension here in a very similar way that you build in any sort of like sneak in scene, where like they come home. Or like the door opens or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And maybe she's rushed and she just like has to do it.
Yeah.
Right when they're there.
Yeah.
And then just like sprints away because it's not immediate.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time.
What if she misses? Flicking isn't very accurate. That could be the comedy part. There could be another comedy part. Oh shit! That's my only one.
Well, okay, so she misses, but then remember I mentioned that it stays on whatever it hits, just like forever.
She has to try to get him to touch that. Hey, that's like specific part on the wall over here. There's something going on.
Like, what are you doing here? And she's like, you see that wall?
The philanthropist is very gullible.
Yeah,
that's also part of the comedy part. Yeah. What's the love part? What's the rom?
What's the rom part?
Yeah. Is it like between her and her friend? Is there like, are they like friends but they like kind of want to be more? Or is it between the philanthropist and J-Lo?
Well, rom-coms generally are like the two people who are romantically involved get together at the end, right?
Right.
If the friend dies, how are they going to get together at the end?
Well, I think that makes it more tragic.
So it's a tragic.
As she's dying, they're like, "Oh, I love you. I want to be more than friends." And then she dies. She bites the dust.
So does she die before the climax of the movie or at the end of the movie?
I think before.
Okay. So that's the Rom part, is that they like... Maybe there's a few scenes where she's like talking to her on the phone before she comes back to the U.S.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever, like something like that. And they're like, you haven't seen one.
I love you. I don't.
I love you.
As a friend, nothing more.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Or it could be the philanthropist.
Yeah.
Which could be interesting, because at the end... So, her friend dies.
Yeah.
J-Lo breaks.
Yeah.
She strays away from her goodness of, like, respecting nature, respecting people, and decides to kill this guy. Uh-huh. And because she's so unhinged, she becomes, like, very willing to deceive.
Wow.
So
it's got dark.
Well, because her friend... yeah.
It's a rom-com.
Her friend got murdered.
Yeah, but, like, people die in rom-coms. I don't think that's
something
true.
wrong with the tonal shift.
That's a major tonal shift.
It's a pretty big tonal shift.
But I guess, okay.
Yeah, So
then she seduces the philanthropist?
Yeah, but then she flicks on him.
Right. She flicks on him. And then they what? It's just like when she's leaving or something? Because remember, if you touch it, it's on you.
Yeah.
And it's like invisible ink. You know, you can only see it with a UV light or something.
Yeah. How long does it...
Which would be really funny if she just seduced him and then you used a UV light on him.
I can't tell which part is which. Where's the neurotoxin?
Maybe that's one of the comedy bits. She can't tell.
Another tonal shift happens at the end. It's rom-com for most of it. It becomes like a gritty, like, psychological thriller. Like, is she gonna kill him? She's gonna kill him. And then at the very end, you can't tell which part's the what and then which part's the other one.
And then we leave it as an ambiguous ending because she gets to touch one, but we don't know.
That's good.
We don't
I
know.
like that.
Because maybe when they're doing the do, it like falls out of her pocket and like breaks.
Little thing that she's gonna flick falls out of her pockets, and she's like, "Oh, fuck." And she's like looking around.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" She's like, "Nothing."
She's like, "No, I just gotta check something." And then she brings out her light, and then there's like a bunch, and she's like, "Okay." And then she narrows it down to 2 because the vial is like next to 2 of them, the broken open vial.
Does Mr. Feast see the?
No, maybe he like goes to the bathroom to like clean up or something.
Yeah. So he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she's like,
hey
babe, come lay down.
right here. No, I want this side of the bed. Yeah. I'm more comfortable on the left.
Yeah. And then he does, and then we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know which one's which.
Yeah.
She has to make it. I feel like we could have an after credit scene with Timothy. So
Okay.
I feel like he's just kind of missing for the last like 2 acts of this movie. Like he's relevant, and then we don't fucking see him at all.
Yeah.
So if it ends with comedy, we could do another tonal shift where something tragic happens to Timothy.
Maybe
something funny.
Maybe the comedy in this movie is the tonal shifts. Maybe that's what's funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
So there's an after credit scene.
Yeah.
What is he, just like making a vegan breakfast? Because he's gonna turn his life around.
Because he's like, oh, why'd I do this? Why'd I make all this neurotoxin from the 12-in-1 Manjuice?
we go to the after credits scene. All of his lights are off.
He's now blind
because he can't be the power anymore.
I didn't get that. That took a second.
Or whether or not he's dead, he's just like the power's been cut off, right?
Yeah.
And it's just completely dark in his house.
And he's like wheeling himself around, like not bumping into things. We can't see it. But we hear his tires creaking. We hear him like, oh.
It's just black screen with sound.
Yeah.
Of just him bumping into shit, falling over.
That could be the credits. The entire time during the credits, credits are rolling.
You just hear sounds.
We hear Timothy like, fuck.
Just wild sounds. All the time. Yeah.
That's how it ends. A very ambiguous ending, but Timothy, we know what's happening.
Yeah.
He can't pay his power bills.
He can't pay his power bills anymore. It's too much. Wow.
I think that's it.
That was great. Yeah, no, that was fantastic. I can't tell if it's still recording or not.
I think it is. It's, you can see the bar moving across.
Oh, I like bars.
The bars, it's showing up on the thing. Worst comes to worst, we can use the camera audio. That's
awesome. Great. Quality. Well, thanks for...
We have to come up with a name for it. This is the second time we've delayed that. This is like the final thing.
Shit.
This is like the final...
Shit.
Oh, they named it.
You're so right.
It's done.
A name.
I think because the movie is kind of a dichotomy between funny and tragic, it has to reflect that.
Okay. Do we want one word, or are we one word title, or are we like a longer title?
I think
we could do... I'm just going to throw some out there. Soap. For the 12 and 1.
Soap. 12 and 1.
We could do...
Manjuice.
Because,
that's what they call it 12 and 1.
They call it 12 and 1, but also because she can't tell which one's the neurotoxin.
She can't tell which Manjuice is which.
Exactly. Manjuice.
I like Manjuice.
That is great. That is fantastic. All right, Manjuice it is.
Manjuice.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to Manjuice. We'll be doing a table read next time.
Writing the whole script.
Writing the whole script next time. We're going to be doing a table read. We're going to have at least 7 high-profile actors in this film. We're going to get J.K. Simmons in there.
Yeah.
We're going to get J.K. Rowling in there.
We're going to get J.K. Peterson.
Yeah. We're going to...
The one that everybody knows.
Yeah.
That one.
Jordan K. Peterson. Yeah. We're going to have so many high-profile people in this production, and it's going to make millions.
I just texted Timothy.
Yeah.
I asked him to become more sickly, and he said, okay.
Wow.
So he's aiming for...
It's that easy?
He's aiming for 90 pounds.
90 pounds?
He's a strong man, mentally.
Well, not so much physically.
No. I realized I had to add the mentally there. Because... Okay.
Great. Fantastic.
Thank you for listening.
Cool. Thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.